Hello, Stoics. There's a silence only the strong can endure. A discipline only the brave can master. A path so narrow, so lonely, that most never take the first step. This is not a journey of applause, fame, or company. This is the walk of the warrior. You train alone. You bleed alone. And in time, if your soul is still standing, you win alone. That's what Marcus Aurelius understood. The man who ruled Rome from a throne of self-restraint, solitude, and inner steel. He didn't seek comfort in crowds. He didn't chase validation. He fought his real battles within the quiet corners of his own mind. And that's where his greatness was born. In this video, I'm going to show you how to walk that same path. 10 lessons forged in the fire of discipline and loneliness. Lessons that don't just teach you how to win, but how to deserve it. If you're tired of needing people, tired of explaining yourself, tired of waiting for approval, then this is your calling. Subscribe to Stoic Legacy and join the few who choose the harder road. Because once you accept solitude, you begin to rise. And once you bleed without complaint, no one can ever break you. Chapter 1. Train in silence is not just a call to solitude, it is a declaration of strength. When you train in silence, you stop performing and start transforming. You are no longer feeding off attention, you are feeding off purpose. No one needs to see your reps, your early mornings, your quiet victories. Because discipline is not loud, and progress is not meant to be performed. Marcus Aurelius trained his mind alone. While the empire shouted, he listened inward. While others chased approval, he chased clarity. You must do the same. The gym, the journal, the cold mornings, the hungry nights, they are not meant for the crowd. They are meant for you. For the man you are trying to become. For the self you have not yet met. Most people wait to be seen before they act. But you act so you can see who you are. You train not to impress, but to endure. Not to win followers, but to conquer weakness. And that kind of strength cannot be built in front of an audience. It can only be built when it's just you and the weight of your own willpower. Silence removes the need for applause. And once you no longer need to be seen, you finally see clearly. You see that real progress is made in the dark. In the hours when everyone else is asleep. In the moments when giving up would be easier, but you choose not to. That's what separates the weak from the relentless. The ones who show up even when no one's watching are the ones who win when everyone is watching. You don't rise by accident. You rise because you earn it in private. You become dangerous because you did the work when it was inconvenient, unglamorous, unnoticed. So keep going. Embrace the silence. Let it sharpen you. Because one day, the results will speak so loudly, you won't have to. And when they ask where it all began, you'll smile. Because you'll know. It began here. In silence. Where warriors are made. Chapter 2. Bleed with Purpose is about turning your pain into power. It is about understanding that the suffering you face today is not punishment, it is preparation. The Stoics knew this. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal not to complain, but to convert his wounds into wisdom. When you bleed with purpose, every struggle becomes a lesson, every setback becomes a sharpening stone, every hardship becomes a step towards something greater. Most people run from pain. They try to numb it, avoid it, drown it in comfort. But not you. You face it. You breathe through it. You learn from it. Because you know that bleeding with purpose means you are alive in the fight. It means you are in the arena, not sitting in the stands. You are not fragile. You are forged. Your scars are not signs of weakness. They are proof that you refused to stay down. That you kept going when your body screamed stop, when your mind begged for relief, when the world offered easier roads. You chose the harder path. The one that leads through discipline, not distraction. The one that demands sacrifice, not shortcuts. Bleeding with purpose means that pain becomes your compass. It tells you where to grow, It shows you what matters. And once you understand that, pain becomes a friend. A teacher. A force that carves strength into your soul. There will be days when it hurts so much you want to quit. When no one believes in you. When even you doubt yourself. But those are the days when your purpose is tested. And you do not train for comfort. You train for war. You train so that when life strikes you, you do not break, you bend. You adapt. You rise. So bleed, yes. Feel it. Own it. But never let it be wasted. Make every drop count. Use it to fuel your fire. Use it to prove that even when you are cut open, you do not fall apart. You become more precise, more focused, more dangerous. That is what it means to bleed with purpose. You suffer now, so that you never suffer the same way again. You fight now, so that one day, when the moment calls, you are ready. Stoic. Unshaken. Unstoppable. Chapter 3. Rise without applause, because if you need praise to grow, you will shrink the moment it disappears. The Stoic rises not for attention, but for alignment. Marcus Aurelius never asked for applause. He wrote to remind himself that the crowd does not define the man, the discipline does. When you rise without applause, you stop waiting to be validated and start acting out of principle. You become dangerous not because people see you rising, but because they cannot stop you from rising. There is a calm power in knowing your worth without needing it confirmed. When the world is silent, you still move. When no one claps, you still win. When no one notices, you still show up. That's the difference. That's what makes you unshakable. Most people train to be seen. You train to be ready. They post for praise. You act for purpose. You know that real elevation is quiet. It's the moment you overcome an old fear. The second you say no to your weakness. The morning you rise earlier, stronger, hungrier. Those are your trophies. Not the likes, not the applause, not the empty noise. And when people finally see you, they won't understand how you got there. Because you built it in silence. You rose while they rested. You stayed consistent when motivation died. You embraced boredom, fatigue, doubt. And you rose anyway. Without applause, without permission, without waiting. That is true freedom. To grow for yourself. To show up because it's who you are, not who they expect you to be. When no one believes in you, and you still believe in yourself, you rise like a storm. Quiet, but undeniable. So stop checking who's watching. Stop measuring your pace by someone else's cheer. The Stoic path is walked alone. The results come in solitude. The strength is built behind the curtain. And when it finally opens, they won't just see a man. They will see a warrior who rose from the shadows. Not for the applause, but for the mission. For the code. For the soul. That is how you rise without applause. And that is how you become unstoppable. Chapter 4. Fight without witness, because the strongest battles are fought behind closed doors, where no one sees, no one claps, and no one saves you. That is where your real strength is tested. The Stoics knew this truth well. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire but wrote in the silence of his chamber, reminding himself to endure, to persist, to remain unshaken. You fight without witness when you choose discipline over excuses, when you hold yourself to a standard even when no one would know if you slipped. Most people only fight when the spotlight is on. You fight in the dark. You fight in the early morning when the bed pulls you back. You fight in the evening when your mind wants comfort, not growth. And no one sees it. No one congratulates it. But that is exactly what makes it powerful. Because you are not doing it for praise. You are doing it for transformation. For identity. For mastery. When you fight without witness, you sharpen a different kind of muscle. One that does not need recognition. One that grows in silence. And this silent strength is what makes you dangerous. Because when the world finally sees you, they will think it happened overnight. They will not see the nights you wrestled with doubt, the mornings you pushed through fatigue, the days you chose purpose over pleasure. That fight built you. And it will keep building you. Every time you face fear alone, every time you sit with discomfort instead of running from it, every time you hold the line when no one is watching, you level up. And while others wait for motivation, you move from conviction. You do the work, feel the pain, accept the struggle, and still rise. There will be no cheering crowds. No finish line celebration. Just a quiet, powerful sense of knowing. You did what needed to be done. You became who you were meant to be. And in the end, that is enough. Because real greatness does not need an audience. It needs a reason. A reason to fight. And when that reason lives in your heart, no silence can stop you. No darkness can drown you. You will keep fighting. You will keep rising. With or without witness.
Chapter 5. Endure without complaining, because true strength is not in how loud you suffer, but in how silently you carry it. Marcus Aurelius endured the burdens of an empire, personal loss, betrayal, and war, yet his writings were calm, measured, and anchored in reason. He never ranted. He reflected. And that is the Stoic way. When pain arrives, most people want to talk about it. You absorb it. Most people want others to see their wounds. You heal in silence. You endure without needing attention, sympathy, or praise. Because you know that every complaint makes the weight heavier, and every excuse makes the path longer. Complaining is a luxury the disciplined cannot afford. You do not cry out when things get hard. You get harder. You do not wish the storm away. You become the one who walks through it. Quietly. Firmly. Without expecting anyone to understand. Because your path is not for them. It is for you. And your endurance is not weakness hidden, but power controlled. It is the ability to suffer with grace, to push without reward, to hold the line without applause. That is the mark of someone who has chosen the harder life on purpose. And with each day that you endure silently, you build something within that cannot be taken from you. You become immune to petty suffering. You rise above the noise. You stop expecting the world to be easy and start becoming someone who can handle anything. One morning, you will wake up and realize that what used to break you now barely shakes you. Not because the pain went away, but because you got stronger. You endured without shouting. You kept your head down, your soul clean, and your vision clear. That is what sets you apart. You do not need to broadcast your burden. You carry it like armor. And when people finally notice, it will not be your scars they admire. It will be your silence. The unshakable calm. The discipline. The control. That is Stoic endurance. That is what makes you unbreakable. And that is why you will win. Chapter 6. Bleed without fear, because pain is not your enemy, it is your passage. Marcus Aurelius bled in the battlefield of the mind long before he ever stepped onto real soil soaked in the cost of war. He knew that true resilience is not the absence of pain, but the mastery of it. When you bleed without fear, you no longer hesitate. You do not flinch when life cuts you open. You do not retreat when things fall apart. You step forward, knowing full well that suffering may follow, but so will strength. Most people want to win clean. You are ready to win scarred. Most want safety. You are ready for the fire. Because you understand something deeper than comfort. You know that pain is the tuition for transformation. That every drop of blood is a receipt for a lesson earned. While others avoid discomfort, you invite it. You let it teach you, test you, forge you. Not because you enjoy suffering, but because you respect what it creates. The man who can bleed without fear cannot be broken. When the blade of betrayal slices through your trust, you do not crumble. You rebuild your boundaries in silence. When disappointment bruises your expectations, you do not complain. You recalibrate and move forward. You bleed, yes, but you bleed forward. And in that motion, you become untouchable. There is a strange freedom in accepting pain as part of the path. It removes the fear. It quiets the panic. It leaves you standing in a storm while others run for cover. You have already made peace with the cost. And now you are focused only on the prize. Strength. Mastery. Clarity. A calm that cannot be shaken. A purpose that will not bend. This is what happens when you stop fearing the wound and start respecting the war. You stop asking why and start asking what now. You stop crying out and start listening inward. You bleed, but you remain steady. You feel, but you do not fold. And one day, someone will ask you how you did it, how you survived the cuts, the chaos, the cost. And all you will say is, I bled without fear, and I kept walking. Chapter 7. Win without apology, because when you rise from solitude, from silence, from scars and sweat, your victory does not require permission. Marcus Aurelius never boasted of his accomplishments, but he never apologized for them either. He served with discipline, ruled with justice, and overcame with quiet force. When you have trained alone, bled alone, and endured every hardship with grace, your success becomes sacred. You did not win by pleasing others. You won by holding your vision through storms no one else could see. And when that vision finally manifests into results, you do not shrink for anyone. You do not dim your light to make the insecure feel comfortable. You do not pretend you are the same man who once doubted himself. You are not. You have changed. And change comes with consequences. Some will envy your growth. Some will criticize your confidence. But that is not your concern. You owe no one an apology for becoming who you were meant to be. While others waited, you worked. While others talked, you moved. And now that you are winning, you hold your head high. Not with arrogance, but with truth. The truth of every sleepless night, every silent morning, every battle fought in your own mind and soul. The truth of discipline, not luck. Of character, not chance. You win, not to prove them wrong, but to prove yourself right. You win to honor the younger version of you who kept going when it was easier to quit. You win because you refuse to betray your future self. And now that you have arrived, you do not need a crowd to clap. You need only your own reflection to nod. And it will. Because it remembers. So you stand tall. You speak with clarity. You act with calm power. And when people ask how you did it, you will not brag. You will not explain. You will simply say, I stayed silent. I stayed steady. I stayed true. And I do not apologize for rising, because I paid in full with every breath I took in darkness. That is how Stoics win. Quietly. Decisively. Without apology. Chapter 8. Move like a ghost means mastering the art of silent progress. You don't boast. You don't announce. You simply rise each day and do the work. While others talk about plans, you build foundations. While they seek attention, you seek mastery. Like a ghost, you glide through life without noise, without drama, leaving behind only results. The Stoic mind understands that real power is not in being seen, but in being felt, quietly, unmistakably, through discipline and presence. When your actions echo louder than your voice, you become unstoppable. Chapter 9. Sharpen in solitude, because isolation is not your weakness, it is your forge. While the world fears being alone, you embrace it. In that silence, your thoughts become sharper, your intentions clearer. You read, you reflect, you grow. You do not distract yourself from yourself. You sit with your discomfort, and from it, you carve strength. The Stoics knew that solitude reveals the truth. It is where men are tempered like steel. And when you emerge, you are not louder, you are just more precise. Chapter 10. Win without a word because the final act of power is silence. You don't need to gloat. You don't need to convince. You have already won. When your journey has been built on inner strength and invisible battles, the reward is not applause. It is peace. And in that peace, you do not need to say anything. The results speak. The changes speak. The glow in your eyes, the calm in your steps, they say everything. You don't chase validation. You carry quiet victory in your posture, your presence, your stillness. You walked alone, trained alone, and bled in silence. Now you win, not with noise, but with quiet fire in your eyes. This is the path Marcus Aurelius spoke of. The discipline of solitude. The strength of restraint. The triumph that comes not from applause, but from endurance. If you resonated with this journey, remember this: your power lies not in who sees you, but in who cannot ignore what you become. Like a shadow that moves with precision. Like a storm that makes no sound until it strikes. If this message stirred something within you, I ask for one simple favor. Subscribe to Stoic Legacy. It helps this movement reach others who need it most. Comment below and let me know which part struck you hardest. And share this with someone who walks a silent path too. Stay stoic and build your stoic legacy.